For Rosalind and Adama, these two characters at the very heart of the show, as I said before, they were lost and found so many different times. Mary and Eddie, maybe if you guys could take a little minute and tell us about the journey for your character and maybe just some of the things that fit into this entire conversation that we're having. Mary, could you talk a little bit about Rosalind and her journey?
Absolutely. I think that this is really these ideas are central to what playing Laura Rosalind felt like. It was a constant negotiation between a deeper, more wise, perhaps slightly more evolved spiritual person living inside a very frightened human being who felt very responsible for a certain idea, which was to save the human race, or at least make it possible for the human race to continue. And what was hard about playing it was it was almost like reversing one's sensation. Instead of sort of having a straight back and an open front, I felt like she had a closed front and a broken back, because the inability to get beyond the idea of saving and defending due to fear of loss and fear of death, ultimately, when it comes down to it. The inability to get beyond that and see something more progressive or healing or bring it into dialogue rather than bring it to the airlock was a phenomenal opportunity for me as an actress to sort of experience the pain of the limitation of that. And I think that working through feeling that there isn't another choice and learning what that feels like and seeing that it's a dead end inside one's heart, even though you don't see there's another way to go, was highly instructive. And I'm grateful for it.
As a military leader, it was ridiculous. Reconciliation was not anything that was even inside of my membrane. I had no way that I was going to ever give up or without dying. I'd rather die than to let it go. But and it was really interesting because we fought all the way and we learned it the hard way. I was crushed by some of the things that I learned while I was, as Admiral watching Laura, the president, the government, make the choices that they made. I was stunned. I mean, first time we airlocked someone, I was like, oh, that's pretty cold, And it was something that I really felt as Adama, and that he was questioning. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we blew it from the very beginning. We should have just stayed there and just fought it and died with everybody else. We really lost out, and I find that out in like the last season is when I finally confessed that, and I said I made the biggest mistake by not, and she agrees, and she said in turn, I said, yeah, I think we blew it, and we did in some ways, but in other ways we would have never have been able to survive as a humanity without reconciliation. There's just no way. And I'm an atheist. As Adama, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Ever. Did we ever believe in God? You kidding? Please. It's just a matter of, this is it. One track, one time. Wherever the flower goes, when it dies, that's where I'll go. Wherever the fleet goes, I go, whatever, And so it was really a very direct line to understanding what this war and this battle was. And then to see me get to the end and just completely say, boy, are we lucky we didn't do what I wanted to do. It would have been stupid. It would have been exactly what we've done to ourselves today. We've boxed ourselves into a hole. And I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen with North Korea. I don't know what's going to happen with, Pakistan. They all have nuclear weapons. Come on. There's still, I think, 3 or 4 pieces of nuclear weaponry from the Soviet Union that are in briefcases that haven't been located. I think that's a truth. That's what I've heard. I've heard that for many, many years since the decimation of the Soviet Union. And if that be true, then what's going to happen? I mean, the fact that they didn't drive the planes instead of going into the Twin Towers, if they had drove one of those planes into one of the nuclear power plants, I don't know what would happen. I don't think any of us do. What do you think? no, what do you think of the honesty of saying to you, okay, we get bin Laden. What do you do with him?
Well,
Reconciliation time. Okay, go reconciliator. What do you do?
wow.
What do you do? What do you do? Excuse me. I'm waiting for the UN to tell me, okay? Go.
Look, I work for an organization that opposes the death penalty. We are an organization which, over a period of many, many years, has become increasingly prohibitionist. And it's based upon a common value that says that human life is sacred. And if the solution to our problems is taking human lives rather than restoring and defending human lives, then we're definitely on the wrong track. We, after September 11th, were as horrified as the rest of the world. The UN is based in New York, as you know. And the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the time said that what we had witnessed was a crime against humanity. Not just an ordinary act of war or ordinary crime, but a crime against humanity, the targeting of massive numbers of civilians. And the appropriate response to a crime against humanity is precisely to find the perpetrators and to bring them to justice. And there are justice systems internationally that have been effective in holding fair trials and bringing war criminals and horrific criminals of all sorts to justice without capital punishment. There's no doubt that you can have effective justice, it seems to me, without capital punishment, that we can be humane, that we don't have to stoop to the level of terrorists and war criminals and others in order to win a battle against them. And to the contrary, you can get yourself caught up in an approach where, in the name of defending yourself from outside threats, as we saw in Battlestar Galactica, you contribute to the corrosion of your society from the inside. Then what's the point? What's the point of the fight, I think?
On the other hand, if we had captured Osama bin Laden, I think there are a lot of us, even on the left side of the aisle, who would have loved to see that airlocked.
You can't say airlock. Stephen?
Yeah, thank you. I think also, just to extend on the right side of the aisle, the politics of it. So you airlock Osama bin Laden. You get 1,000 more Osama bin Ladens, and this is commonly known. I mean, you create another phenomenon, and it doesn't do anything in the end. I mean, you get some personal satisfaction. Okay, what's it worth? Is it worth the 1,000 other attacks that are going to be flourished? And I think, for those of you who heard President Obama's speech today, I think it's clear that there has to be a new approach. There has to be, I mean, there's some columnists who are calling it the mother of all reset buttons. Let's hope that there is a new tone and that people can look and address each other, and peoples and nations can look at each other with some respect, because otherwise, I don't think there's much of a future.